What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today I have for you guys kind of a power rankings, kind of a first half of the season recap, second half of the season, players to look forward to. But first and foremost, please hit that like, comment, and subscribe button. We are on our way quickly to 40,000 subscribers. We just leaped 30, and we want to get there quickly, because the more we get to 40,000 and 50,000, the more stuff we give away, and everybody loves free stuff. But anyways, guys, let's get into it. First half of this video, I'm going to be discussing our Player of the Year race. I'm going to list my top 5 players here. The rankings are going to be very similar to the points rankings, with a little bit of a shift here and there. At number 1, we've got Bill ONeal, the current frontrunner for Player of the Year. Won the season opening Players Championship and has boasted quite the resume of consistency, having made 4 TV shows with that one win, and is your point leader and your money leader, I believe. So it's hard to argue Bill ONeal at number 1. But at number 2, this is where things switch up a little bit. From the points rankings, I have EJ Tackett. And he hasn't won, but a record-tying 5 straight TV shows, is one of 2 players to have cashed in every single event. And that kind of consistency you have to pay attention to, right? TV, we know it's just one-game matches, anything can happen, and he could very well have been a 1 or 2-time titleist this year already. Maybe just some poor decisions on TV, just some untimely shots, things like that happen, but he's qualified consistently at the top. Even during the bracketed events, he has qualified very high to where he would have made the show anyways. So EJ, for me, in second for the Player of the Year race. But at number 3, we have US Open champion Kyle Troup, the only 2-time titleist this year. And the only reason why he's not in second is because of that lack of consistency. Has 3 cashes, I believe, with 2 of those being wins, but 3 other events where he wasn't very close. So I give the edge to EJ for second in Player of the Year, but Kyle is second in the points, and being the only guy with multiple titles so far through 6 events, that's going to get you up there. And this is probably the tightest race there has been in recent years for Player of the Year. So really excited to see how the second half of the season unfolds. But in 4th place, I have Anthony Simonson, 1 title this year with 3 TV shows made, and is in 3rd in the PBA points. Nothing else really to unravel there. He's been around, just hasn't been quite as consistent as maybe an EJ or Bill. And Kyle obviously has those 2 titles and the 1 major over Simon. It's just 1 title. But the second half of the year, a lot of major championships coming up. There are 3 majors in the second half of the year, and those could really alter the Player of the Year standings. So in 5th place, I've got Marshall Kent. 1-time titleist so far in these first 6 events. 3 top 10 finishes this year, and he's 5th in points. Has been fairly consistent and has made 2 shows, I think, and a few very good major championship finishes, I believe, as well. So nice seeing him round into form this year, and we'll see what he can do in the second half of the year. But here's the interesting part of this video. My top 5 second half of the season risers up the points, and maybe some guys that'll hop in there in the Player of the Year conversation. Like I said, it's very tightly contested, and there's just a lot of consistency going on with, Bill and EJ, just making shows. But Bill only has 1 win, and EJ doesn't have one at all. So I feel like if someone can rattle off, the World Championship and then win 1 or 2 more titles, you never know. But here, my number 1 riser, I've got Chris Prather. Very quietly has put together for Prather standards, probably not a very good season, but he has 5 cashes out of 6 events. Is 29th in points. That just kind of shows the way the points are structured. Consistency, unless you're making the show every week like EJ, doesn't really get you very high on the points, but it just shows that week in and week out, he's just been hanging around, and it kind of just takes 1 week of seeing what you like to really get you up there. And he has historically been a very good World Series of Bowling bowler. Obviously, having won the World Championship a few years ago, especially back at Thunder Bowl, where he won his first title, the Scorpion Championship, back in 2019, I believe. And I think he also made that World Championship show, so I expect him to bowl well there, as well as the TOCs at the end of the year. Again, an event he's won at Riviera, so I expect Prather to really put it together here. Hopefully he's been putting in that work with these 3 weeks of break that they've had. But Chris Prather is one guy that you should be looking out for who maybe hasn't made quite the splash we thought he would. But second on my risers list, somebody that I've had very high stock on the last few power rankings, Jesper. 5 cashes this year with 5 top 25 finishes and is in 25th in points. Another guy that's just been hanging around. Someone that relies heavily on the IQ78U is probably, week in and week out, every time he bowls is dialing it in closer and closer and closer to finding one that he likes. So I expect him to show up at some point. I think he makes a show here or there, and you never know. Like I said, you match up at a World Series and you could really do some damage. So Jesper, second half of the season, we'll be looking out for him. And third, another left-hander is going to be Jacob Butruff. Not someone we've talked about at all this season, just because of, ended last season with an injury. Didn't know how he was going to be with the black hammer instead of the purple. But he has managed 3 catches this year, is 37th in points currently. Another guy who has historically bowled well at the World Series of Bowling, especially last time we were there at Thunder Lanes in Detroit, came in second for the World Championship. So I expect him to show up once again. Those long formats, players like him seem to do pretty well. So Butters at number 3 in my risers. And number 4, another guy that has a very good track record at the World Series of Bowling, BJ Moore. Good friend of the program, BJ. Almost won his first title at the 2019 World Series when he bowled Prather for the Scorpion Championship, and also made that World Championship show as well. Another reason why I am putting him on the biggest risers list. Also made the TOC show back in 2018, I believe. So is historically a very good World Series bowler. I'm putting a lot of weight on the World Series because that is, 4 events in one. So I expect him to do well. World Series is kind of his bread and butter. So watch for BJ to pick up a good amount of points. Has also bowled pretty good this year, I feel like. Has been close to making some shows. I think the Players' Championship, he was very close. Right there up until the position round game. And then, just kind of hung around for the rest of this season. But World Series of Thunder Bowl, I think BJ shows up. And last but not least, this one might sound and feel a little bit ridiculous, right? Jason Belmonte, my 5th place on risers for the second half of the season. And yes, he is in 7th in points, but just not making the splash like you're used to seeing him. 2 years ago, won 5 titles. Last year, won the TOC. But he's been consistent when he's bowled. He's only bowled 5 of the 6 events because the one he was back home at a wedding. But 5 cashes out of those 5 events, with 3 of those being top 10s, and made that U.S. Open show. So it's major championship season. Obviously, this is the Masters happening this weekend. A tournament he's won 4 times, beat me for one of them. And, Balmer's a big game hunter. Major championships are his thing. So, World Series of Bowling at Thunder Bowl. He was the champion there for the World Championships in 2019. So, pretty obvious one there. But I expect him to, really make his splash and his statement on the PBA tour from this year, because he's been a little quiet. Only made 1 show, not really affecting too many leaderboards. So Jason Belmonte at number 5, and that is it, guys. Wasn't really a power rankings this week because the Masters is a strange event. A lot of amateurs bowling. It's a 64-man bracket, so never really know what's going to happen, right? The only thing you know is that Simon's going to make the cut because he is the defending champion. But I'll be excited to see some matches. Maybe we'll see some amateurs slip into that show. That's always exciting to see what non-full-time members or amateurs make it into that show. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Week 7 of the PBA this week during the USBC Masters in Suncoast of the Las Vegas City Hotel with a bowling center in it. Botched that sentence, but thank you guys so much for watching. Check the description down below for merch and EFX jerseys. Use code MITA for 10% off. And that's it, guys. I'll see you.